What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another video. So today we're going to talk about the potential of a housing market crash in 2022, going to address the current housing crisis and address how many people's purchasing power has been reduced just over the past couple of months. So there's a lot of stuff we need to go over, so let's get right down to it. First, a lot of people are worried, should I buy a house in 2022? Should I buy a house now? And I want to address that question first. Here's what I can tell you. If you need a house, need a place to live, that would be why I would buy a house. If you currently have a house and you don't need to move, don't move. It's that simple. Now, this is not real estate advice. I'm not trying to give you financial advice. This is just common sense. If you do not need to move, don't move. And I say this because rates are going up. Okay? We still see there's still a lot of demand. So you are going to have a bidding war on almost every house that you try to put an offer in on. Okay. We know that there's potentially going to be more supply very soon. Okay. So all these things are good. Okay. But again, if you don't have to move now, don't move. Now, here's what I can tell you. Now, a lot of people ask, should I buy a house because I keep hearing there's potentially going to be a housing market crash coming in 2022. Well, let's address this. Again, let's go over this. We know rates are going up. As rates go up, this will lower the price of homes. Okay? That also means inventory will likely increase as rates go up because, again, it lowers the price of homes. And as homes go down in price, guess what? Other homes around it go down in price as well. That's good news. We also know renovations are not happening as often. When a renovation doesn't happen, that means the price of the property or the home is not going to increase because it needs some work. Guess what? That means it lowers the price of the home. We also know outside inflation is also going to lower your purchasing power, which means if people cannot afford the homes in your area, guess what? It lowers the price of the homes. So, is 2022 a great time to buy a house? It really depends on the house. Okay, but one thing I can tell you, and the one thing that's propping up the market right now is the excess demand for a home. Because millions of people are still looking for a home. And even if you're not looking into one of those affordable homes, people still need a place to live. And so that's what's propping up the market is the excess demand. Okay? So keep that in mind. It's a huge problem. Major concern. Yes, I believe we are going to see the housing market somewhat correct. Okay, it's already correcting, but I think it's going to be in between a correction and a crash. Okay, I think that's where we're at. And I say this because all the indications are pointing to that. I don't think the Federal Reserve is going to come in and save us. Okay, I don't think that's going to happen. I think we're going to be hit pretty hard. So if you're considering buying a house, 2022 might not be the best year, but you can still get a good deal. You can still get a good deal, but you have to almost find something either off the MLS. You have to find something that is brand new right to the MLS. Okay, put in an offer and they have to accept it that day. Almost the first offer. Because if you wait, there'll probably be more offers that come in and some people are still overpaying for the same properties. So just keep that in mind. It's a major issue. Because if we see a lot of people overpaying for properties, guess what? It raises the properties all around it. And that will hurt. Okay? That will hurt people that are trying to buy. But it's good news if you currently own. Now, let's address the housing crisis. And it has to do with affordable housing. Because affordable housing has always been an issue. Now, here's one of the issues what we're having. We are seeing record numbers in new builds. But these are new builds for single-family homes. The problem is builders, they yield more profits on a single-family home than they do a multifamily building. So guess what they're doing? They're pushing multifamily to the back seat, to the back burner. Oh, I'll deal with that later. I don't need to deal with that now. I'll make more money doing these houses than this apartment building. Okay, so that's one of the issues is affordable housing. We're not seeing a huge surge in new buildings. We're just not. And as far as the entry level homes, guess what? builders aren't jumping and flipping over backwards to build entry-level homes because, well, they're not as profitable as something that's a little more luxurious, right? And so that's one of the issues is affordable housing. We're not seeing much relief there. So again, it creates another housing crisis. You can't afford where you live. What are you supposed to do? Move in with other people? Again, creates a lot of issues. And here's the other thing. We are seeing purchasing power get reduced. And here's why. We see inflation it's up all across the board. Food, gas, utilities, right? Retail, right? Cars and trucks. Doesn't matter. Everything is more expensive. And with rates right now, for a 30-year fixed rate loan, up over 5%, the buying power of a potential home buyer is greatly reduced. Recently, many realtors across the country have stated that they are seeing an uptick of buyers actually backing out of their deals. They're just backing out. So even though you may give your earnest money check, they're simply like, you know what? Keep it. Keep it. I do not even want to buy that house right now. They're just backing out of the deals because they're expecting the prices are going to fall. They're going to fall. So they're just going to leave their earnest money check. Take it. That's fine. Here you go. Okay? They're just foregoing their earnest money because they're that worried about buying a house right now. But not only that, mortgages aren't closing as quickly as they used to. Now, this is something that I just kind of learned a little bit about, is that before, mortgages, it didn't take that long. But now, in some cases, many lenders are having to go back and forth to try to get a buyer into and actually to qualify. And it's causing a lot of issues because the mortgage lender, right, even though they got them in, they got their pre-approval, right, they got their earnest money, they got their offer accepted, all this great stuff. The problem is it's taken too long that when they try to lock in their rate, they're locking in. It's like, well, can't really afford it now. And so now the other issue, and this is something I just heard from a couple friends of mine, they actually had a pre-approval letter that they said they can afford X amount of dollars for a home. Okay, perfect. Well, now, actually just a couple days, 2 or 3 days ago, they were asked for a pre-approval letter. A pre-approval. Because they want to make sure that the home loan that they get based on the new rates, they can actually afford it. So again, it's interesting. It means what's happening now is it takes even longer to go and get a home. It takes even longer to close, especially if you're right there at that line. Okay, I can't afford anything more than this. And you're right, you're touching that line. If that's the case, chances are by the time you go and you're ready to close, you won't be able to afford that home. Okay? That's the crisis that we're in. That's how the purchasing power is getting reduced. Again, a lot of these problems, they're only going to get worse. Okay? Now, what can we do about this? First off, here's what I can tell you. Again, buying a house in 2022, even though a lot of people still want to do it, it might not be the best move. Okay? I'm not saying it's a horrible idea. There's still a lot of great houses out there, a lot of good deals. Again, it depends on what your plan is. Are you going to buy it to fix it and flip it? Are you going to buy it to live in it for a couple years? Are you going to buy it to live in it for the next 10, 20, 30 years? Every single one of these scenarios is different, all right? So keep that in mind. But just understand, things are changing, and as they change, there's going to be more and more changes on the back end. Everything is going to be impacted. Everybody is going to feel the effects of a housing market crash if it does crash in 2022. If it gets pushed back to 2023, guess what? We're still going to feel the effects. The only issue is now we have this kind of sideways movement for the next 8 months, and that's not what the American people want. So I will keep you updated on what's going on, what's happening with the housing market, with finances, with the stock market, and everything in between. All you got to do me a favor, go ahead, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button so you never miss an update, and I'll see you guys on the next one.